So, speaking of copycats. Let me bequeath upon ye poor souls some ingenious and never-before-seen knowledge about commercialized products. When something is popular and makes bank, there's a 99% guarantee that someone will copy it in hopes of replicating that success, no matter how blatant. This occurs quite regularly in video games, and while I could be super cynical and be like, yeah, because why make something more original when you can ride trends like a greasy sore pig? Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, so long as you can still stand out from the crowd or even advance the ideas from the popular thing further ahead. There's a difference between inspiration and blatant mimicry. All this dates back to the very beginning of the medium, when not even a few years into the thing, we'd gotten our very first video game related lawsuit. Magnavox of Odyssey fame sued Atari of Pong fame over the company pretty much stealing Pong from them and popularizing it in the process. Meanwhile, countless upon countless Pong consoles cropped up over the next few years. Ironically, Magnavox's parent company, Philips, would get sued back by Atari over Casey Munchkin, or as the Europe calls it, Munchkin, or as anyone with eyes would call it, Pac-Man, or as it was originally called, Puck-Man, or as it would have been defaced by incels. That's not what we're going to be talking about today, though. Instead, we're doing the super obscure one, as is the norm round these parts. However, I advise thee to take heed, because what you'll learn from this could very well save your own life one day. After all, the average life expectancy of a hack is 15 minutes. See, you're learning already. Our journey begins with Data East's landmark arcade title, Karate Champ, a 1v1 fighting game that became incredibly popular during the mid-80s. There were fighting games of the sort before then, but we don't talk about those much. Karate Champ was very profitable for Data East as well, and like I said, when a gold mine is found, imitators are abound. A year after Karate Champ became a smash hit, British dev System 3 made a smash hit of their own with International Karate, also a 1v1 fighting game available for various gaming computers, and I mean the old gaming computers. It was brought over to the Americas by controversy veterans, Epix, and was retitled to World Karate Championship for some reason. With this success running parallel to Karate Champ's success, Data East decided to congratulate everyone's newfound wealth and riches by slapping Epix with a frickin' copyright suit, alleging that the game was practically identical to Karate Champ. Yeah, your ears don't deceive you, they sued the American publisher rather than the original developer. They did have some involvement, but that's how the title goes. The case was brought forth to the United States District Court for the Northern District of California, and after much deliberation, they found that Epix/System 3 indeed copied Karate Champ, and that was more than enough for them to give the victory to Data East. Epix were gifted with a permanent injunction, preventing them from selling any more copies of WKC, while also forcing them to recall the rest to make any necessary changes that would allow the games to be legally marketable again. But they weren't about to have any of that nasty old bullshit. So they ran straight for the US Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit about a year later. The Ninth Circuit re-reviewed the case and performed a few tests of their own to determine its validity. Originally I was going to explain that process, but the extrinsic test is performed first and determines if the two ideas presented are substantially and objectively similar. And then the intrinsic test is... And I figured you'd all have similar reactions, so just read the case file if you're that interested. Both tests yielded that, once again, they were very similar to each other. But this time there was a catch. The circuit court listed out all those similarities and concluded that the reason both games played almost the same was because they both embodied the sport of karate. All Data East really did in their arguments throughout both cases was prove that both games are indeed about karate. And obviously, they didn't invent karate, so the case is pretty much moot. As a result, the Ninth Circuit reversed the initial decision, stating that, overall, the average consumer, or targeted demographic, or whatever term you want to use, wouldn't find similarities between the two products. So there was a lot of contention with this case, and the only way I see fit to decide whether or not this was just would be to actually play the games for once and compare them myself. But I wanted to be truly authentic with this, so I went online and bought me an actual arcade cabinet for Karate Champ, as well as an actual Commodore 64 and an actual original copy of World Karate Championship, cause you know me, I just bleed money. $2,500? I make that in 15 minutes. Which reminds me, I need to order some more gluten-free, non-dairy vegan water for my big, fat, pretentious ass. Oh, my transparent pants just arrived. Anyway, after getting a ROM and reinstalling MAME, I played a bit of Karate Champ. It's a pretty simple game. You try to hit your opponent using a variety of karate techniques. You accrue points based on where those hits landed, and the first to 2 points is the AI because the game cheated. Well, actually, you can just spam them with a jump and a back kick, but try anything else and your ass is grass. Glass. It's fine. I see why it got popular, but 3 decades later, it doesn't quite have the same appeal. As for WKC, I used some C64 emulator for that. And after 5 minutes of screwing around in there, I came to the unexpected and shocking conclusion that yeah, I was riding off the coattails of Karate Champ. Outside of its structure and visuals, it kinda is the exact same game. You hit your opponent somewhere, you get points for it, first to 2 points wins, and while the AI is not as unfair, since this wasn't an arcade game so it didn't have to be designed to eat your wallet little by little, they're still a tricky lad. Again, it's fine, but there's not a whole lot to it. It's even more bare bones than Karate Champ because there was at least some form of progression in that game. True, considering that, I can't really call this an exact copy, but only an idiot would think System 3 didn't try to ape Karate Champ's insane clout. Oh, am I implying that a highly regarded panel of judges and legalese folk that have more experience in law and possibly more success in life than I ever will are dumb to think that there ain't no substantial similarity between 2 karate video games? Yeah, maybe. The line between this is pretty gray, as yes, you can't sue someone and expect to win on the mere basis that they made a karate game after you made a karate game, otherwise the amount of lawsuits that could result from that hypothetical precedent would rival the height of the Twin Towers. And before you ask, before that, and while I don't doubt that they probably had a smidge of an idea of this in their head, I think it's kinda ignorant that the official statement ended up being, yep, no shenanigans here. All that said, I don't think it was a good idea to sue in the first place, mostly for practical reasons. Data East was still making bank off of Karate Champ in the arcades and on computers too, as it had several computer ports of its own, and IK/WKC's reach could only go so far, even after System 3 put out an updated version of the game a few years later, International Karate Plus, or as Epic retitled it for the Americas once again, Chop and Drop. Why the fuck was this done so much back then? Another thing to keep in mind was that IK/WKC was not the first attempt to bank off of KC's success. During the same year that IK came out, Australian developer Beam Software presented the world with Way of the Exploding Fist. Yes, it's actually called that, and yes, I will also be looking at it too. So... oh, forgot they did that too. Okay, let's try another ROM. I'm sure they can't all be bad. Huh. I would be upset, but anyone who recognizes Kraftwerk's existence are respectable in my eyes. I eventually did find a working ROM for the game, and surprise, surprise, open your eyes! It's still Karate Champ. This time around though, the point system has been completely removed in favor of this scoring system, so you just have to have the higher score when time runs out to win. Like with IK though, there's no tournament structure here either, so this is probably the barest bare-bone version of Karate Champ. How the hell did this slip by Data East sites since it was also released worldwide? I guess it either kept a low profile or didn't sell as well as IK here did in the US. Overall, it doesn't seem like there were any major ramifications from this case, but according to the history books, it was a landmark one for the look and feel aspects of products within the computer industry, and had a great effect on future copyright cases in that realm from then on. Weighing out potential consequences from both sides, it's probably for the better too. Especially since these gray area lawsuits aren't really that beneficial to the creative medium in the grand scheme of things. Here's another dose of irony for you. Data East would find themselves on the accused side in one of these kind of cases in the next decade when Capcom sued them for their 1v1 fighting game Fighter's History because they thought it was a complete copy of Street Fighter 2, and the results went about the same way, but this time Data East were the victors. Also, while I can't really say for anything outside of video games, do you remember a time in the past few decades where a similar case took place and the plaintiff actually won? Probably not, because such cases are becoming more infrequent by the day and are usually pulled by greedy self-entitled twats who have only the slightest grasp of legal knowledge but decide it couldn't be that hard to prove their case. Anyway, that's your lesson in copyright for today, children. For your homework, write a 2-paragraph essay on the dreams you had while watching this video because I know you were asleep the whole time. I can only do so much to make this kind of stuff not boring. What do you want from me? And don't forget to watch that Rape Day trailer as well. Trust me, it's not as bad as it sounds. It's actually kind of hilarious. Alright, you're dismissed. Yeah. Oh yeah, I lied about Rockstar.